does the Bible actually say about divorce? The answer may surprise you. In the Old Testament, there were provisions for divorce. That's right, there were certain conditions that if they were met, then God permitted divorce because of the hardness of people's hearts. I mean, think about it. All of humanity, born in Adam, with those hardened hearts, trying to relate to one another under one roof. Well, that's why we see in Exodus and throughout the Old Testament some instances in which divorce was permitted. If someone was not being treated fairly, if they were not provided with food and shelter, if they were not given conjugal rights, that is, the right to sexual intimacy with their spouse, if one spouse was withholding from the other spouse, then God permitted a certificate of divorce. Now, the key word there is certificate, because if the divorce was not done legally, then it would leave the woman in a no man's land. She was now semi-divorced, but not legally, and then she couldn't get remarried because she had no certificate. And as a result then, she was stranded. Perhaps she was living on the streets with no source of income. She couldn't marry another man, so she couldn't look to him either, and she couldn't look to her prior husband because he had kicked her out. So this is why a certificate of divorce was essential. Now, Paul picks up on this theme in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. He's urging the Christians to remain in the condition in which they were saved. I mean, if you were saved as a single person, don't seek to be married. If you're married, don't seek to be divorced. If you're widowed, don't seek to be remarried. But if you do remarry, you haven't sinned. So Paul's focus was on the current situation. I mean, the circumstance was that they were experiencing all kinds of persecution and maybe even famine at that time. So if you got married, you wouldn't know, am I coming home tonight? Will I end up being persecuted and killed because I'm a believer? Could our family end up with no food because of the famine that's happening right now? There were a lot of present circumstances that went into Paul's concerns about marriage in 1 Corinthians 7. But even more, the idea of the certificate comes up once again. The verbiage used in Corinthians seems to imply that Paul was saying, don't be illegally divorcing your spouse. Make sure that you're doing it with a certificate. If you release the wife, then she is in a no man's land. So do the right thing. Do the honorable thing. Do the divorce from a legal standpoint in a way that the wife can remarry. In that way, you're being loving to that spouse, even as you divorce them. So it was never meant to be a passage that we turn into law, you know, inscribing it on tablets of stone and declaring that if you get a divorce, then you're a second-class citizen in God's kingdom. Remember that your righteousness doesn't come from your marital status. Your righteousness comes from the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So next time you're relating to someone who's been through a divorce, remember that your status is all about Jesus, and so is theirs. Our righteousness was a free gift from God, given to us apart from the idea of us being single or married or remarried or widowed or whatever it might be. Your righteousness comes from Jesus Christ. And on a scale of 1 to 10, you're an 11. You're off the charts, okay with God, no matter what. And He will never, ever leave you. So this means we got to stop treating divorced people in the church like somehow they're the black sheep in God's family on a different tier or spiritual level. Nothing could be further from the truth. The simple fact is that if we do get a divorce, let's do it in a loving way.